Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Williams. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Williams. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Williams, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today, folks. Have you been watching those hearings? You know something? Guess what? I don't care. I mean, we know what's going to happen. The thing about it is this, right? I want the president impeached. I want all of that done. But here's what I am not going to do as a host. Here's what I'm not going to do as an activist. Here's what I'm not going to do. I am not going to spend all our time concentrating on all the bad things that this president has done. We know what they are. Everybody knows what they are. And the idea that all of us should put all our energies into this is malpractice, is dereliction of duty on the part of activists for those who are indulged in this, in my humble opinion, that is. Because here's what I know. I know that none of those politicians that are checking out, that are making sure that Donald Trump is doing the right thing or that he has done the wrong thing, I know that, you know, we can talk about chewing gum, walking and chewing gum at the same time. The one thing I know is that we're not. I know that the Congress has passed a lot of laws that they know won't ever make it to the Senate, and they know that. And I know that in a lot of times, the idea that those laws are never going to make it give them a certain level of boldness. In other words, oh, we passed all these laws, so think that we are chewing gum at the same time. We are chewing gum. Yes, we are. But you know what, folks? I bet when it comes time to pass real middle-class laws, it's up to us to make sure that we finally get a crop in there that's going to do what we know they ought to do. Because it's easy for you to say, I'm passing these laws because you know they're not going to go through. But when you know they're going to go through, what's going to happen? Are you going to are you going to do what Obama did to the progressive movement last week? Are you going to do that? I tell you what, I'm going to get the show started. I'm going to talk about what the show is going to be about. I also want to talk about what Obama did. And I want to hear from you about that as well. Because I think, folks, it's one of my callers today, it was great hearing from her because she pointed out something that I hadn't realized. She did the research. And she found out something that is very important. And we're going to go over that as well. But anyhow, let's go ahead and get started with the program. Title of the show today is Progressives' Response to Buttigieg. Let me get it right. Progressives' Response to Buttigieg. 2010 video engaging Tea Party misses the point. It misses the point. Subtitle of the show: Pete Buttigieg engaging the Tea Party back in 2010 was a good thing. Progressives should not be upset at that behavior, but they should be upset of what he has become. That is what we ought to be upset with. We should not be upset that El Señor Buttigieg decided that, hey, let me go ahead and go into the den. Let me go ahead and talk to these Tea Partiers. That was a good thing, folks. But look at who he has become. That is what we should be concerned about. If I were Pete Buttigieg, I would use the Tea Party video to my advantage, especially because his words were just about all correct in approaching the other side. I love what I made a video of what I took what Pete Buttigieg did. It was about a 3-point-something minute video, and I think I got it down to 1:30 because that was the substantive part of the video, in my humble opinion, right? And then I listened to it and I played it and then I did a little narration after it. And I said, you know what? If I didn't know who Pete Buttigieg was, that is the same way I went and I met with Daniel Boone. You remember Daniel Boone was a big man. His relatives live here in Katy, Texas. And they were strong in the Tea Party movement when it started. And they invited me to a bar somewhere in Southwest Houston, very West Houston, right? And I walked in there to this. It was sort of like what you'd call, a lot of people would call it a redneck bar. And I walked in there and think about this, El Latino Negro, the black Latin Caribbean guy going into this bar, right? And I saw some interesting eyes looking at me, and who are you here for? I'm here to see Daniel Boone, And I tell you, I had some of the best times out there. If I followed some of our rules, I wouldn't be talking to these folks. And you know what? I can talk to these guys. I completely disagree with these guys. But you know what was interesting after we left? All back then, we were talking about Obamacare, but I was talking about Medicare for all with those guys. 2 of them had no insurance. 2 of them had no insurance. The grandfather had insurance because he was working with an oil company. And when he found out I was a software engineer, he said, hey, can we team up? Can we team up? And I have this idea with this plotter for this oil thing. Can you handle the software in that? I'm like, yeah, but that's not where I'm at anymore. But what I'm trying to tell you, folks, communication. You can communicate with anybody. And when Brother Pete Buttigieg did that communication with the Tea Party, I would use that to my advantage. It was a good thing. You don't have to agree with them because the truth of the matter is, like I said, well, in the video that I did, I'll tell you what I said in the video, but let me continue with the show. Buttigieg does deserve the wrath of progressives, however, because his policies are an order of magnitude too neoliberal. We should be hammering candidates articulating Republican policies and using them to enlighten both Republicans and Democrats, conservatives and liberals and libertarians. You see, if people are saying, let me see what that pinko liberal Egberto is saying, but they feel okay to talk, we've already won half the battle. Because if we are so sure that our policies are right, and guess what? I am sure. Because, I'm a science guy. I'm a math guy. And these things are absolute. I'm not talking ideological stuff about abortion or Christianity or Islamists, or I don't care about those things, right? My thing is economics, right? That's the message I preach, economics. And taking over your own economic realm, your own economic well-being, your own personal economy. So I don't care about the other stuff that conservatives care about, those other issues. I think those are personal issues. But you know what? If I get them on the economic side, you see what the right has always been great in doing is mixing the economics with the ideology, with the personal thing, right? And in doing so, that's how they were able to convince so many to vote against their own interests. And all these things were laid out, not in these particular words, but in the Powell Manifesto, the Powell Memo, the Powell Doctrine. Lewis Powell, appointed to the Supreme Court by President Nixon, but he was a Democrat. And why do I always like to say that? Lewis Powell, a Democrat, appointed to the Supreme Court by a Republican. What I've always tried to say is we should be all working together, because the truth of the matter is, those of us in the middle class, those of us in the poor class, we are the ones who have something in common, man. The other side creates factions to ensure that we can never look at the faction that is actually screwing us. It's not 2 factions, it's 3 factions, right? It's when was the last time you saw Bill Gates say something negative about Donald Trump? When was the last time you heard Oprah Winfrey say something about Donald Trump? When was the last time? The reason I'm using those as examples, right, people? Somebody that you know should be against Donald Trump. You haven't heard? When last did Beyonce say something about Donald Trump? Jay-Z, when did he say something about? Don't you see Kanye running up to talk to Donald Trump? Kanye came to Houston this weekend, and he says, oh, black people need to leave. I mean, it's all a sham. It's a sham. All this racist stuff about Donald Trump, it's all a game to put us against each other. It's a game they're playing. Those at the top, they only know green because they know the truth about race and all of that is crap. They know the truth about all these other issues are crap, religion, all of that, because up there at the top where they're breathing the rarefied air, they're down there laughing at us peons who are fighting each other for nothing. When you have a white supremacist out there saying, oh, I hate this black guy, this, you have to ask, what is in it for him to hate me? What is in it? Nothing. So do I hate him back? Hell no. I continue to try to talk to him and say, hey, guy, guess what? It's a game that they're playing against us, brother. It's a game they play against us. Let's get with the program and think together. Because when you saw Obama come out and said the same thing, let me tell you what, let me finish lining up the program and then I'm going to go into this message that I want to talk about. Anyway, Buttigieg does not deserve the wrath of progressives because his policies are an order of magnitude too neoliberal. We should be hammering candidates articulating Republican policies and using them to enlighten both Republicans and Democrats, conservatives and liberals, libertarians and anarchists alike. We cannot allow the establishments of any party to continue defining the debate. But, folks, before I get to the program, and man, didn't we start the program already? Before I get to the program, I want to remind all our listeners that KPFT is a bastion of intelligent voices and programs. As a political activist myself, my favorites are Think Wing Radio with
Mike Honig on Mondays from 3 to 4.
There you go. We have Open Journal with El Senor.
Dwayne Bradley and the crew at 6.
And
Mondays?
On Mondays. And we have Jazz Latino, Afro-Cuban Latin Jazz at its very best, hosted by
Juan Flores. And that is sort of before the show from noon to 2.
Yes. And then we have the one and only Gener Asian Radio, a weekly radio program featuring an eclectic mix of Asian underground, Bagra, Bollywood, funk, Hindi, Rai, where ancient sounds meet future beats. And that is with whom again?
That's with me, FX Box, Al Triple X, and Yogi G, all right after the show.
Folks, look, you got after this show, you guys have got to stick around, folks, because you know what? That's how I jam at home. I just lost my headset, but I don't need to hear myself. Anyway, you got to listen to Gener Asian Radio. If you guys have not listened to Gener Asian Radio before, it is imperative that you stay on and listen to Gener Asian Radio. This is the show. Let me tell you, when I'm going home back from this stuff back to Kingwood, I am jamming. And I mean, I am jamming, folks.
You are too kind.
You got to hang in there. And folks, I just had to take my headset off to stick that thing in. But yeah, Gener Asian Radio. Hey, Nabu, I hope you guys have some great stuff for me today.
Oh, we do.
All right.
Don't worry about that.
So I'm going to be happy going home?
Absolutely.
I'll be happy going home. Anyhow, folks, let me continue with this to tell you that Check out our full schedule at kpft.org, where you can find programming from music to politics to medicine to the eclectic. KPFT is a listener-supported public community radio station. So please, 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 please remember that if you like what you hear, visit kpft.org and ensure we remain a strong, viable community radio station that provides news, programming, and information not influenced by whom again?
The corporatocracy.
Remember that word, the corporatocracy, the corporatocracy. And unfortunately, I want to hear from you. I want you to call 713-526-5738, 713-526-5738. I have a blog of the week that I am not going to do because I have just changed my mood. You know what I'm saying, senor? Let me tell you, Nabu, I want to actually go into a soliloquy about what's going on because, I got a text here from a person who said, Egberto, yesterday I called your show, and you remember when I told you XYZ, and you said, no, Obama said that, and I said, no, I thought it was Bloomberg who said it. And then I told her, oh, no, I know, I just blogged it, and Obama is the one who said it. Folks, look, we can love all these politicians, but we have to remember one important thing. We have to love our neighbors. We have to love our families. We have to love our acquaintances. We have to love the average American citizen. The politicians, many times, too many times, are playing the game of that thing Nabu just called out, the corporatocracy. And Obama has joined the fold. I love Obama for what he has accomplished. I love Obama for what he did. I love Obama that he gave a whole lot of people, black, brown, and Latinos, everybody, the expectation, the feeling that anybody can become president of the United States. He opened the door in the way he did it. When Obama did it, however, folks, Obama didn't say, I'm playing it safe. Obama said, change, hope, and change. Obama said Ronald Reagan was a transformational president. And you know what? Ronald Reagan was a transformational president. In fact, he was. Ronald Reagan came in, and Ronald Reagan didn't say, I'm going to half step. Ronald Reagan didn't say I was going to be an incrementalist. Ronald Reagan didn't say I'm going to tack to the middle. Ronald Reagan said, I am going to cut the taxes of the wealthy. I'm going to cut the taxes of these multi-million-dollar corporations. I'm going to do all of that right away, and I'm going to get it done. And he did it. He didn't ask questions, and his team followed lock, stock, and barrel. They followed him. And you know why they followed him? Because he was doing something the corporatocracy wanted. Why don't we consider doing things for the middle class, for the poor, the things that we want for a change? Why aren't we doing it for a change? Obama was right. Ronald Reagan was a transformational president, and over the last 40 years, he has destroyed the middle class. He has destroyed the poor. I know a lot of you are running around saying, hey, I got my Cadillac. Hey, I've got my Mercedes. Hey, I've got my house. Yeah, but you don't own a darn thing. And I'm not talking about those in the top 10% and some in the top 20%. I am saying when 80% of Americans can't come up with $400 or a $400 bill is going to put them in trouble. Folks, he has hollowed supply side economics. The tax cuts have hollowed the middle class. It has destroyed the middle class. It has made you indentured servitude. You can have all the things, but if you owe somebody else for it, you own nothing. If you have a $400,000 home, $1 million home, and you have a mortgage of it, you ain't got no home. If you have a $50,000 car, a $75,000 car, and you're driving and you look nice in those suits that you bought on your credit cards, you don't own anything. That's where we're at. We have created, let me tell you, we have created a system that has hollowed out the middle class. We have hollowed out. We have sent many of them into the class of the poor. I am going to continue with my soliloquy, but since I have two people on the line, and I love you all, I've got to talk to you. And folks, I'd like to hear from more of you. 713 713-526-5738, 713-526-5738. Come on in, line number one.
Hey, my name is Willie.
Come on in. Talk to me, Willie.
Man, you are speaking my language. You ain't got no home if you owe all these people, and I got to admit, I'm guilty of the, infighting. I'm guilty of, vilifying people with those kind of right-wing attitudes.
Right.
And, I live with my dad. I had my own place for about 3 years, but I can't afford, to live on my own right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working part-time. I'm actually on the job right now. I'm driving a van.
Right.
And, I live with my dad, and he's like Mr. Pro-Trump, and I find that, over the course of the last few years, the one good thing Trump has done is made my dad happy.
Mm-hmm.
I can at least be grateful for that.
Right.
But, it's not a productive thing for me to fight him all the time.
No.
And
look, love your dad. My sister's a Trumpist. One of them. The other one is a crazy liberal like me. Well, not crazy, a true liberal like me. But let me tell you something, brother. I'm going to tell you something. Love your dad. Trump filled a void that Reagan and all these other people left. I don't like Trump. I think Trump, my personal opinion is that Trump is evil. Trump is a narcissist who cares about nobody else but Trump. But some people see in Trump a way to get the system. They know the system has been so bad to them. So they just feel like stick it to the system. That's why people in Appalachia love Trump. My white brothers and sisters in Appalachia are getting screwed more than anybody else by Trump. Okay? I can do one of two things. I can hate on them and say, how stupid can they be? But they're not. Listen to what Obama said last week. Oh, people don't really want a big change. They just want, they don't want transformational change. They just want a little change to get by. That's not the Obama that was a community organizer. That's not an Obama that supported single-payer health care. That's not the Obama who saw his mother go through hell with insurance companies. Where is the empathy? That's what I'm saying, my dear brother. Willie, here's what I'm saying. So many times, many of us who have gone through hell have not been able to empathize that after we've crossed the bridge ourselves. It's like, okay, we've crossed the bridge, burn it down.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. These are good, honest, hardworking people, and even though they succumb to I would say pretty hurtful rhetoric, or at least unproductive rhetoric, they're not necessarily bad people.
No, I've got a lot of right-wing friends, okay? And when I say friends, I don't mean, it's not, look, they know exactly who I am. That's the most important part. I am not trying to change my progressive values to be like them. But what I tell you, a lot of them have come across is saying, my God, they like the ideas. And here's my big pet peeve. And line two, I'm coming to you in a second. Here's my issue. I've been getting a lot of flack because I've been talking this way on Facebook, and I've been really hitting up the centrists on Facebook. And they've been giving me a hard time. How can you speak that way? You want us to lose? And I'm like, no, stop being afraid. No matter what, we are going to win in 2020. The question is how. When I say win, I mean progressives will win in 2020. The question is how big. Obama and Bloomberg and all these guys, they have seen the light. The problem right now is they want to know how to control the win, because right now the win is looking pretty damn progressive. And they know what a progressive win means. So they are trying to temper this win so that the establishment of both parties still have some control over keeping this a corporate state. So they don't want a big, humongous progressive win. And that's why even an Obama can come out and do to the progressive movement, or attempt to do to the progressive movement, what he did last week. That is what he's up against. The problem is one of my listeners sent me a text just before I came into the studio, and she said, "Remember, Egberto, I told you yesterday on the air that it was Bloomberg who said that people don't want transformational change." And I'm like, "No, it's Obama. I wrote about it last week." And guess what? Bloomberg said the same thing in August. It is a planned narrative that is put out by the plutocracy, and all of these guys are using it right now.
I couldn't have said it better myself, man. That's that's how it's always been.
Brother, thank you so kindly. Anything else you want to say before we go to the other caller?
I just wanted to say thanks for having me on the line. This is my second time listening to the show, so I'll be calling back. I'll be listening in.
Thank you so kindly, folks. Please remember to tell people about KPFT, because let me tell you something, brother. There are so many stations out there, and there are very few that are actually getting in depth and giving something for folks to feed on. And I'm not only talking progressives, man. I'm talking everybody. So thank you so kindly. Anyhow, let's go. Oops, did I lose line number 2? Okay. I lost line number 2. Thank you very much for your call, folks. Folks, we have open line 713-526-5738, 713-526-5738. I know this subject have a lot of people that want to call in. Please don't wait till the end of the show to call in. Like I said, I have a hell of a lot of stuff to tell in my soliloquy, but I would like to hear sort of where the pulse is from many of you as well. So don't fear giving us a call at 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Okay, let me go ahead and get back onto the notion about what's going on with, like as I said, Buttigieg went ahead and he was talking to an organization called the Citizens for Common Sense. And we know that these folks like to use a whole lot of those types of names. The names never justify exactly what's going on. So that's what they use. Now, he went in there and he said, you know what I realized? He said, many of you in this movement, we understand that we share certain values in common. And the left-wing stratosphere exploded. And why did they explode? They exploded because they thought that Buttigieg was pretty much adapting the adapting the Tea Party, or trying to be coercive with or trying to appease the Tea Party. But that's not what he was doing. At that point in time, I have a feeling this man was doing exactly what I think needs to be done. And that is, don't cede what the plutocracy wants to a group of people. We are much more powerful if we actually work in concert with even those who disagree with us. We are even more powerful if we work in concert with those who disagree with us. And until we get there, we're not going anywhere. So anyhow, Obama is of the impression, that progressives have moved too far to the left. And I have to ask the question, what exactly do you mean by having moved too far to the left? What policies? And I'd love some callers, maybe callers on the center side as well, to give me a call and tell me what do you believe is so on the fringe that we're talking about? I think that's the phone ringing. What exactly do you believe is on the fringe here? Because there are too many people that are saying, oh, we don't want Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren because they are on the fringe. On the fringe of what? What policies that they have you don't want? Let me go to line 1 and then I'll come in. 713-526-5738. Again, that is 713-526-5738. We have a ton of lines open. Come on in, line 1. Come on in.
Hi, this is Janet.
Janet, talk to me.
Hey, I was regarding your comment on the plutocracy.
Yes.
I noticed that, and this is not just me, but various people that I have spoken with, both on the right and left, shortly thereafter of the Wall Street incident, there was a huge division in the media between right and left. I personally believe that those that are in power have managed to divide us based on race and orientation and everything else, because they saw that everyone worked together to fight against them. The amount of people that were on Occupy Wall Street was insane. There was Occupy Wall Street in Houston. I don't know if you recall, but
I was a part of it.
Yeah, movements everywhere.
Yes.
And since then, I've just noticed a huge divide, both in media and just literature online. And I personally don't. I'm personally more right-leaning. I don't necessarily like Trump as a person, but I do see some of his values as far as like policy. I do think he is a narcissist, as you had mentioned before. But see, the thing is, there's people right and left that don't like where things are going, and regardless of like where you stand as a person, you have to realize we are so low on the totem pole compared to all the people in power. Like you said, if someone has a bill they can't pay, like they're in the hole. They own nothing.
Right.
We as people, as Americans, own nothing. It's ridiculous. There's something like 60% of Americans, they don't have $1,000 in savings or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, how terrible is that for our country? If we are to boast as one of the most powerful nations in the world, how can we say that about our own people that are starving and poor? It's ridiculous. San Francisco, I mean, the place is a mess. So I personally, I don't believe it's a matter of right and left. I believe it's a matter of rich versus poor.
Wow.
As far as I'm concerned, everybody in the country is poor.
You know something?
To the 10%.
What is your name again, ma'am?
Janice.
Janice, let me tell you something. You hit the nail on the head. I am trying to move the argument or the discussion or the debate away from left-right. Although I keep calling myself a left-wing progressive, I would like to kind of get away from that habit and make it exactly like you just said, because you're absolutely right. It's rich, poor. And what we have right now is an economic system that continues to extract and extract. I gave an example that says there's a group of people who don't want the minimum wage increase, right? Well, let's go back to 1990, whatever the minimum wage is there, right? They don't want it increase. Now, these are the same people now who are on Social Security. They want their COLA, cost of living increase, every single year. Whatever happened to the minimum wage COLA? If they said they could make it, they could have an apartment and stuff when they were on minimum wage and expect our millennials to do the same thing, they're fooling themselves, because that money that was, if that money hasn't changed for X amount of years, that means you are asking millennials to live on less than what the older Gen Xers and baby boomers lived on. So we have to be honest in the debate. We have to be honest when we start to say these things. And I'm so happy that you called in as a person on the right, because that is what I want to foment. I want to be able to sit down with somebody on the right and say, hey, I don't agree with you on this, okay? In fact, you and I probably have zero agreement on sort of the kind of ideological issues on religion and all of that. But you know what? It's your business. It's my business. But when it comes to economy, I care about your economic well-being. I care about you I care about your kids having a good school to go to. I care about you having good health care. I mean, just as a human being, right? I genuinely care about all those things. And I don't care if you're a Christian, a Muslim, an atheist, or whatever. You're a human being. You have feelings. You feel pain. You feel hurt. I don't feel good when I see other people there. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So look, anything else you want to add, Janice?
No, I just really, honestly, it's very refreshing to hear this kind of conversation on air, because you don't see a lot of open conversation to the right and left. It's strictly divided. So it's nice to have a conversation to remind everybody, like, we're all in this together, and we need to think back upon like where we stand as far as hierarchy as far as wealth, because we aren't there. Both right and left, whether you vote Republican or Democrat, you don't have the money. So, think on that.
Look, Janice,
thank you for letting me call in.
Look, Janice, first of all, I want to say thank you for your words. I appreciate you calling in. And I want to tell you, please tell folks about us. Tell folks about this show. Tell folks that this is this is where we got to go. And you can play your part as well. Like I tell people, I don't turn the other cheek. I just don't let the other cheek fall off.
All right.
Thank you so kindly.
Yeah, have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye. Okay, line 2, say hello. I don't know. We kind of have some issues. Say hello, line 2.
Hi, Egberto. It's Kathleen.
Kathleen, how you doing, my friend?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I am doing just fine. Talk to me.
Good. Well, I read an article yesterday, and I'm racking my brain trying to think of what outlet.
Hold on a second, Kathleen. Let me fix that. Okay, it's line 1. Okay. Somebody on line 3, we lost you. Please give us a call back. The person that we hung up on accidentally, please call back. All right, you're on, Kathleen. Oops, let's see. Hello? Hello? Say hello. Okay, line 2. All right, let me get line 1. All right, line 1, you're on.
Hi, Egberto. It's Kathleen.
Yeah, we had a little mishap here. That is line 2 that's doing that now. Hold 1 second. There we go. There we go. Can you hear me, Kathleen?
Yeah.
We're back. Come on in.
Okay, I can hear you. Good.
Right.
Anyway, I can't recall what publication it was in, but the author, I thought, made a very valid point. When you look at the surveys of the different policy platforms that Bernie has proposed, and the majority support, even among Republicans, for instance, Medicare for All, expanded background checks, addressing the climate crisis. I can't, I'm drawing a blank as to what
But
the rest.
I get it.
There were like 7 of them that all had majority support. Some of them were 70% support.
Right.
But the author made the point that isn't that the center?
You know what is so interesting about that?
I mean, they're calling him, this radical lefty.
Right.
But if the majority of Americans support the policy positions or platforms, doesn't that then become the center?
You know something? Why did you have to be so smart? That's the question.
Well, I can't take credit. It was an opinion piece, and I'm just regurgitating it to the best of my ability. But I just kind of was like, wow, why did I never think about it that way before?
It is so interesting that is what, what I've been trying to explain to people, right? And by the way, folks, we have lines open, 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Kathleen, we are going, everybody, Democrats specifically, are scared for 2020, right? And my contention is as follows. I am not the least bit scared because all the data is telling me right now that we are either going to win or have a humongous landslide. I mean, that's what the data is telling me. Now, here's what's interesting in my opinion. What's interesting in my opinion is the media doesn't want to tell you that, right? Because they want you to fear for the exact reason that you just gave there, right? The center is not where the plutocracy wants the center to be.
Exactly.
Okay? And what's happening right now is if they go out and explain to Americans right now that Americans have had it, they've had it, and they are going to come out in 2020. Look at Louisiana, look at Kentucky, look at these other places where we are supposed, they go ahead and they say, oh, well, in Kentucky, all the Republicans except for the governor won. Yeah, but you know what it took for that governor to lose? Do you know what it took for those guys not to win as big as they otherwise would?
Right.
I mean, they know what's going to happen in 2020. Let me give you the thing. The amount of Republicans that are leaving the House right now, all of these are probative, right? If you had any inkling that we were going to have a close election, it would mean that the House still has a chance because the House is the gerrymandering is still biased towards Republicans. This is what people have to understand. The gerrymandering in the House is still very biased towards Republicans. That the Democrats won it so big in 2018 is probative because we're still working with Republican lines.
Exactly.
And this is not rocket. What I'm saying is not rocket science, but it is something that you won't hear too often on our mainstream media because they are plutocratic controlled, of course, controlled by the corporatocracy, and they can't tell you that. And why can't they tell you that? They can't tell you that because if you understand that, you don't mind Bernie Sanders if you think Bernie Sanders will get the votes from Republicans, you don't mind him being the candidate because you really like his policies. If you think that Republicans would also vote for Warren, you don't mind her because this is the time now that progressives can get all their candidates through. This is the time now. And they have to temper that. They have to put the fear in Americans that, oh, we gotta go center. Well, you just told us where the center was, Kathleen.
Right. And if I could make just one more point,
yes.
I'll try and make it quick. I watched a video earlier of Obama speaking at, I'm not sure what it was, but it was back in the 2000s. So it predated his presidency.
Right.
But he was talking about universal health care. And so, and when he ran in 2008, he did have a progressive message.
Yes.
He didn't turn out to have progressive policies.
Right.
But, that's why he got a lot of people excited because he did run on those type of ideas. But interestingly, it occurred to me that, he had trouble getting the ACA passed.
Right.
Even with Democratic control.
Veto-proof
there were
control.
8 Democrats in the Senate
yes.
who voted against it.
Yes.
Now, the key to Bernie's campaign is because he understands what happened under Obama.
Right.
That Obama didn't activate his grassroots and say, listen, here's what we're going to do. You need to get on the phone. You need to email. You need to meet with your legislators. You need to rally your community. And let's get this done. And I think his slogan is brilliant, not me, us.
Exactly.
Because that's what it's going to take.
You know what? When Obama got in, the thing that had upset me, I was upset the very first few months Obama was in for one specific reason. I was a member of OFA, okay? It used to be Obama for America, then it turned into something else, okay? And sadly, he allowed that to go down. In other words, he didn't, that was a big grassroots movement.
Right.
He never kept that movement alive. If he had kept that movement alive, every policy that we wanted, we would have gotten.
Right. I believe you're 100% right.
But you know
really
what?
Do.
That is how powerful a plutocracy is. Who knows what they told him as far as being... What did they have to tell him to come out and say what he said yesterday? A lot of people think those are just, a pragmatic Obama talking. That has nothing to do with pragmatism. That has everything to do because he knows it's not true. He knows that's not where Americans are. You went and you just read the paper. He knows that's not where America is.
Right. He's more intelligent than that.
Yes.
I mean, come on.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know what was behind his comments. They did bother me. And I've had a lot of discussions with friends that were saying, don't go attacking Obama and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, listen, for you to not expect pushback is ridiculous.
I think I think it's, look, let me tell you, when Obama was president, I will cop to being guilty of not hitting Obama hard on when these political changes started to occur, specifically because he was black, the first black president, and I didn't want to put another issue on him, okay? Because he was getting enough from the right. I'll be honest with you. We were wrong. Those of us on the progressive blogosphere and all these, we were wrong. We should have kept the pressure up. We were wrong. But thank you so kindly, Kathleen, for always being here. You're a wonderful person, and thanks for that article, okay?
All right. Thanks for another great show,
Great.
Egberto.
You have a wonderful day now.
You too.
Bye-bye. Okay, line number 2. Come on in.
Hello, I think that's me, Dick
Yep.
Clark.
Dick, come on in.
I've been so impressed with Kathleen and the speaker before, the way they identified the center.
Absolutely.
And the rich versus the poor.
Right.
And I think before we completely throw Obama under the bus, when he inherited that huge depression, right? He was up against it. And so he's, and then the oligarchs come in and say, well, you got to bail out the banks, right?
Right.
And he totally misread the Wall Street demonstrations.
Right.
And I think the party did in general. Oh, God, this drift to the right has been going on since LBJ.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, they declared war against his great society.
Right.
And they've been winning. Whether Republican or Democrat, they've been nipping away at that. And, of course, behind everything, the oligarchs.
Right.
And so I just wanted to support what was previously said and realize that
let me just
somehow got to win this election.
We're going to win the election. Let me tell you what I think all of us have to do, you included, all of us. We have to go out there and tell the message with the right narrative. We have to tell folks they need not fear. Get rid of the fear. We are going to win. Let's go ahead and win big. And let's choose the people we know are going to start the reversal to ensure that the middle class is no longer hollowed. And that's what we have to do, brother. That's what we have to do.
And I think the other issue, it's kind of related. Trump is a billionaire, presumably. Let's just
right.
He's a member of the oligarchy, and for people of the poor middle, of the wanting to switch this whole government from for the rich to the poor, or to the middle class, whatever. But they've got to realize this man. The first thing he did was give a huge tax break to the oligarchs and the corporations.
Yeah, look, my
friend, huge.
You're absolutely right.
And they don't get that simple message. These guys aren't working for you.
There you go.
They can get up and talk about MAGA and whatever, but no.
That's why I talk to everybody, because that's what we have. We have to. Those of us who have the patience, those of us who can say, "I'll take a slap on the face," I'll take all of that for the better good. So thank you so kindly, my friend.
Okay.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Enjoy your program. Bye.
Thank you. All right, line number 3. I don't know who you are, but come on in. Just say hi, and I'll say your name.
Hi, my name is Ochi.
Ochi?
Ochi.
You're on.
Hi. I like a lot of what I heard as well today. One of the things that I want to say is, number one, what we forget about is that when we elected President Obama, I like what Bernie Sanders is saying is us. Because we put President Obama in office and we left him there by himself.
Thank you.
Which was illogical.
Yes.
He couldn't do half the things he said because he was alone. We don't put a quarterback in without a good coaching team, without a front line. We make sure that they have everything they need to do the job that we need them to do.
Very good analogy.
We didn't do that with him.
Very good analogy.
The Democrats didn't back him up the way they should have, and neither did the people. Because once he got in office, he was overwhelmed with so much that needed to be done. Not just in this country, but the world needed him to straighten out some policies. So I like Bernie's strategy. The other thing is that we've got to be careful of these buzzwords. We have been taught and ingrained to hear certain buzzwords and get all upset and get excited. Like socialism. Oh, my God. Oh, what is that? What is that? We hear these things and we become fearful because they've ingrained fear in us.
Smart
so I like how you said, the fear-mongering has to stop. We have to not allow them to think for us or teach us how to think, because it is not to their advantage for us to think rationally. It is not to their advantage for us to think outside the box.
You are so smart.
We have to stop listening to politicians that continually say how they need to help the middle class.
You're so smart. I hope you get. Let me tell you something. Go ahead and join my mailing list at politicsdoneright.com, because I want you to be on our team, okay?
Oh, definitely.
Politicsdoneright.com. Thank you so kindly. You have a wonderful day, my dear.
You do the same.
Bye-bye. Okay, line 4. Just say your name so I know who you are. Line 4. Say hello.
Hello.
Okay, who are you?
This is William from the west side.
William, you got 1 minute. Talk.
Hey, you were talking about how you were disappointed with Obama when he had the Senate and the Congress.
Yes,
Do you
sir.
remember what he inherited from the Republicans?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, a banking system that was ready to implode the entire industrialized world.
Yes, I
How
do.
bad do you think it's going to be if we even do take it over?
No, first of all,
It's the same thing. It's going to be absolutely bankrupt.
look.
Totally.
I don't hold on, William. I don't want anybody to believe that I'm just out here dogging Obama. That's not what I'm doing at all.
No, I'm not saying that, but for some reason you guys say one thing and you don't think about what he inherited. He had to save the world. The next guy is going to have to do the same thing.
I understand.
Trump has made this insane.
You're absolutely right about having to save the world, and let me tell you, and that's why we those of us that are progressive said you should never have disassembled your base. And what?
Well, he had so much on his plate, he lost sight of the grassroots. I already know that. You know that.
Yes.
But you can't fault him for that.
No, look, but I do. I can't fault him for that. You're right, sir. You're absolutely right. But I can fault him for the statement that he made that he knows is false that he made last week. That was a false statement.
About that.
I gotta go. Thank you, William. William, you're a good man. Take care, brother. All right, line 5. Say your name so I know who you are. Or screens are down.
Hi, I'm Andre.
Andre, talk to me.
Hi, I wanted to talk about the Pete Buttigieg Tea Party video. I
missed
the first part of your show, but I just wanted to speak on it for a second. I think it's so disingenuous what his campaign is saying, that they were just there trying to get some votes, talking to middle-of-the-road people. I think it's ridiculous. By 2010, everybody knew that the Tea Party was racist. They held signs up. They questioned Obama's citizenship. They made fun of his wife. I mean, for me, it's disqualifying for someone like Mayor Pete.
Well, that is what Common Dreams said. I completely disagree, but let me tell you why I disagree.
Why?
Let me explain. Before you attack me, let me explain, please.
no, please go ahead.
Let me tell you, I've all back in 2010. I was also going to Tea Party events. I'm a black, Latino, Caribbean guy. And when I say black, I mean I'm dark-skinned black. So, and I went ahead and I knew exactly who I was dealing with. All right. I think this race game, all these things, it's a game that the plutocracy plays on all of us, right? So,
for sure.
I know that a lot of those folks are really racist, but I also know a lot of that racist bone that's there, or I'm just saying bone for the heck of it. But I know that a lot of the plutocracy is triggering that. So I have two options, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. My option is to fall in line with what the plutocracy expect us to do, fight each other because he's a racist and I feel the pain from his racism, or I can supersede his racism and try to approach him, and in approaching him, kind of give a backstop. And I can tell you that from an individual point of view, and we have to have this happening over and over again. I gave a story about going to a redneck club in West Houston to meet an entire group of Tea Party folks, and we had fun. Okay, and I'm not
for
some
sure.
gullible.
I mean, they're human beings, right? They're Americans.
Right.
We want to definitely get in touch with them.
Right.
However, I think my point is, there's like 30%, a contingent of 30% of this population that's just always going to be racist.
I agree.
Always going to care
Yes.
horribly about the wrong thing.
Yes.
And I think he was there in 2010 trying to make peace, trying to make
and
some connection.
again,
and it didn't work. That was the precursor to Trump.
Sir,
it doesn't work. That strategy just doesn't work.
Sir, let me tell you something, okay? That's the last thing I want held against Pete Buttigieg. What I want held against Pete Buttigieg is that he's a neoliberal who has an economic policy anathema to the middle class. I want progressives to hit him hard on his economics, not on whether he's a racist because he went and spoke to people. I don't care you want me to be honest with you, brother? I don't care who is a racist. I don't. I'm not trying to marry you. I'm not trying to be your friend. I'm not trying to get your daughter. I just care about economics.
We have 6 other great candidates that are polling well.
And
I just don't.
And that's
why, I don't
sir,
see the point
sir,
in pushing forward on Buttigieg.
Sir,
I agree with
I agree with you.
Liberal policies.
I
think
agree.
It's totally right.
Sir, Sir, I agree with you. I want us to hit Buttigieg on policy that white and black people are going to see the same. Let me give you an example.
Amen.
If you go ahead and start hitting Buttigieg as he's a racist for talking to to those people, what do you think it's going to do with the racist portion of the Democratic Party? They're going to start having the race. I don't want to talk there. Buttigieg is a clear and present danger for the middle class and the poor. That's where I want the argument.
I got you. I understand.
Thank you so kindly for calling, my brother.
Thank you.
You have a wonderful day.
You
All right, let's go. Line number 1. Come on and say hello.
Hello?
Yes, turn it down, but go ahead.
Okay, yes.
What's your name, sir?
My name's Robert.
Talk to me, Robert. You got about 35, 40 seconds.
Okay, look, progressive is a code word for socialism.
Okay.
Socialism is not going to happen in this country.
Okay.
Okay? We got 5 more years of Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Deal with it.
Okay.
And then after that, I'm scared for this country.
Okay, let me ask you this. What is it about progressives that you don't like specifically? What policies you don't like? Real quick.
I want the government out of my life. I
Specifically,
don't want them running everything for me.
What do you want them not to do for you right now?
I don't want this Medicare for all.
Tell me why you don't want Medicare for all.
Because the current system works fine.
Okay, for you, maybe.
For me, yes, and for everybody if they'll go out there and work.
Okay, actually, that is not true, but I don't have the time to talk to you, but I ask you a favor. What's your name?
Robert.
Robert, I'm sorry, you told me before. Why don't you listen to my show? I have a show daily on the internet. Look up Politics Done Right. I'd love to engage you in further conversation. I just don't have the time right now. I have one last call, okay? Thank you for calling, sir.
All right.
Bye-bye. All right, line number 2. Tell me who you are.
This is Nicholas in Houston.
Talk to me, Nicholas.
Hi. So first, I just want to say I love your show, man. I'm an avid listener, and I believe a lot of what you say. I appreciate what you do. I know it's a hard job. But secondly, I noticed that in the calls in today, there's an obvious distinction with this left-right paradigm and how that's very unhealthy and inaccurate. And you made the distinction that it is a top-down comparison that should be made, right? It is the wealthy.
Yes.
But I think that the distinction should go further.
Go ahead.
Think that there's a difference between wealthy people.
Okay, you got 25 seconds, so do it real quick. 25 seconds, do it real quick.
There's a difference between the wealthy who use their money to control the populace and just being wealthy.
Uh-huh.
I think it's an important distinction to make because in the end, we all want to be wealthy, right? I think there's an unnecessary stigma on wealthy people, but the stigma should be placed on those who use their wealth.
I agree with you. And look, sir, I got to go, but what you're saying is very true. What you've just said is very true. I'll expand on that some other times. Keep following Politics Done Right, and we'll talk about that issue, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so kindly. Folks, this is Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis, and you know how I end this, baby. I am what? Out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
1, 2, 3, 4.